Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Lawsplaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And I apologize. I apologize for being already late. I have been entertaining dinner guests, and therefore I am running behind. So I did not have the stream link set up and all of that. So I'm going to stall. I'm going to stall for a few minutes and let people get caught up, right? Get people caught up. The chat doesn't seem to be filtering through. That's good. This is Mark Rossi. Why isn't the chat filing in? Let me see if I can get that setting. Oh, there it is. There it is. Bagel Goose, you want me to turn the sound back on? I'm not wearing headphones, so I don't mind doing it now. I don't know if it'll come through for you, buddy. Here, just a second. For you, Bagel Goose, the sound is on. I do have the camera running, so the masks should work. They should work. I can't make any promises on the software side of it, but they should work. The sound is on, and it should transmit through. That's all for you, pal. That is all for you. And it's entirely up to you if you want to donate, of course. I will expect and demand nothing, but I'll be appreciative of any and everything. All right, so the chat seems to be working. Everything seems to be functioning. Let's talk. So, who was that? I'm already mildly toasted, guys. Mark Rossi asked Southern Poverty Call Center or Law Center. No, this is the actual Southern Poverty Law Center. The actual group of scumbags who walk around with the stated purpose of destroying the lives of their political opponents. These piles of trash walk around guys, if you haven't figured it out, there's a thing that makes me really, really angry really easily, and it's lawyers acting like, how do I say this? Lawyers acting like pricks, right? Using the import and authority of our education and our little cute title to go ahead and decide that that we get to do something that other people can't do. And in this case, it's the Southern Poverty Law Center deciding that they get to ruin the lives of people based on politics, their political opinions. And so because of their political opinions, people don't need to feed their families. They don't need any of that. So watching them get sued by a lawyer for $6.5 million makes me really, really happy. Anonymous masked me for $5 and says, "Thank you within the law, macaw." I didn't hear the tone, but that's because it's I've got the volume turned down. Perfect. So anyway, let me explain a few things real quick. Lady Rackets made me drink a bunch of this, which is low percentage alcohol. It's 30% alcohol. Whiskey I drink is normally 40 to 50, but it's high percentage of trash. So she had me drink a huge glass of it. It's been disgusting. And for you guys, because dealing with the SPLC is swallowing the bitter pill, right? We're going to finish off. There's not much of this bottle left. I mean, I don't know. That's a good amount. We're going to go ahead and finish that out for you guys. And hopefully that will help me keep from screaming too hard at the SPLC. Let's see how much is left. Oh, good. Oh, good. An entire glass is what's left. So we'll see how that goes. What do you want?
I have to give you a gift.
Lady Raggets has to give me a gift. Will you guys bear with me for just a second? What is my gift?
Hi, everybody. So I felt really bad. Sorry, I have other people. I felt really bad about quote unquote tainting all of Nick's liquor the other day.
You got a Cthulhu face.
I am a Cthulhu.
Hey, Bagel Goose. Bagel Goose.
There's masks. They put a mask on me.
Bagel Goose says testing. Ignore this, but that was great
because it was really fun. We were both. Whatever that was.
It gets
Octopus
both of us.
Faces?
Cthulhu. Oh my gosh. Sorry.
Whatever.
I'll educate her on the ancient ones later.
For reals, man.
Absolutely
but anyway,
disgusting.
So I felt really bad for tainting all of your liquor the other day by backwashing and all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the store today without your knowledge and I spent your money.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What'd you spend my money on?
I bought you your own new bottle
of
Glenlivet 12, which is what I was mostly drinking out of.
Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome. So it's brand new. You're welcome.
So I have a brand new bottle of what?
Oh, this one's mine now. Sorry, I was.
You can't have more. Okay. Okay. So she gave me. What are you doing? A new bottle of Glenlivet 12. Thank you. Now, please.
Hey, is it bigger?
It is.
Oh, my bottle is so much bigger.
Oh, this is a 1 liter.
Look at this.
Excellent. Oh, okay.
Can't even.
You're loud.
Can you see though?
Yes, they can see.
Ooh, I like your hat. Is that a hat? It's a bird.
Get out.
You had a bird on your head. Oh, I have one too. Oh, darn it. Hello. Hi.
Hopefully this gets you both. She was
too high.
For the first time in her life, she was too tall for something.
Oh, sad day.
Okay, now seriously, guys, we have I have to
serious times. I'm very sorry.
I have to trash the worst law firm in existence.
Lady Rackets, what the hardest you've ever hit Nick?
She lit my face on fire.
That is very true. True story, guys. I'm very sorry. True story. Lit his face on fire in our first year of marriage. We were fighting.
Oh God!
No, stop it! You're in front of my microphone.
Will you hurry up?
We were fighting, like actually, like arguing about something. Doesn't matter what. We have no idea what. I had one of those lighters that's like the long stick thing. You know what I mean? Where you're like, and like this far away, like little tiny flame, right? It's usually about a little tiny flame. He had a beard.
She burned off my beard. She made me into a soy-filled pile of garbage.
I really did. I like clicked it, but I was seriously like this far from his face. Like this far from his face. And the flame jumped out. I was just joking. I was going to like diffuse the situation.
Behind a microphone.
But it jumped way out and it burned all of his facial hair / some of the back of his hair on the back of his neck. Never play with fire, children.
No,
bad days.
Lamonk says, "Mom, get out of my room. I'm streaming." Yeah, get out. Get out.
Do I look like his mother? Jeez.
No, but your Minnesota accent is intense. That's according to Devin F.
F.
Yeah. Don't say what you want to say. Get out of here.
Can't fix you.
I will fix it. Oh my gosh. Get out before you break everything.
Okay.
Love you, dear. Bye.
Bye.
Get out. What is wrong with you people? I despise everything. Yes. Okay. Get out. Vamonos. What is up with this? This is disgusting. I apologize for that. Thank you for bearing with me through the debauchery of my extended family. Anyway, so now that they're gone. Oh, wait. Keck, I didn't get to ask her your question.
We're still here.
I need you. One thing. Before you leave, one thing. Hurry up. Keck says, ask Lady Rackets, how does she feel about being the battered and abused wife of an alcoholic? How do you feel about that?
I don't think I'm the battered and abused. I think
I am. Help me. Help me. She just headbutt me viciously. Now get out.
Heck it.
I didn't. Get out of here.
That's what I said.
Okay, get out of here.
Ooh, weird.
Shoo. Vámonos.
Gross, man.
Vámonos. Okay, anyways. Even the vault isn't safe. That's correct. Now close the door. All right. That's the last of this disaster. Now we're going to move on to the subject.
Nick is bailing on card night.
I appreciate you all dealing with that. It was a nice way to let people join into the stream because of the late announcement and the late start, which I do apologize for. But we are going through the Southern Poverty Law Center. Blink twice if you need help. McCall, why do you get 2 wives? I don't get 2 wives. I don't get 2 wives at all. Ooh, I like the shark face. That is my wife's cousin. And her husband was also here, but he didn't pop up on camera. Okay. We're going to switch from the topic of me abusing someone else to everybody else in the world should be abusing the Southern Poverty Law Center. So we're gonna read through the lawsuit. I teased this on the last live stream. We read the introduction, but I'm gonna read all of it today. It's 85 pages. Okay, guys? Oh, goodness. It's 85 pages. We're gonna go through it. Stick with me. It's gonna be a little bit of a journey as we go through. Not all of them are just legal documents. Some of them are exhibits, which will shorten it up a tiny bit. But yeah, I've got Milo's Sweet Tea, of course. They're not a sponsor. Jerks. Just kidding. Haven't asked. I've got Sriracha vodka. Way too much of it. And this is the second one of these. So we'll see. I had to pregame a little bit. Because we had company over. And Lady Rackets is being ridiculous. Finally, Jorgemund 07 says, clearly you need to beef up your office security, maybe hire a bouncer. That is true. I need to throw out the riffraff and the degenerates. They have to go. Okay, and I am simulcasting on Stream Me for those of you who are curious, although I don't know if anybody is watching on Stream Me right now. I think the Ralph retort is still going. So as that ends, we might see some people trickle in over there. But if you don't like YouTube, you can certainly go over there. All right, final thing. 2 ways to interact. Of course, the Justice Chat, which the link is in the description, or if you're on Stream Me, the link is below in the banner. Or you can do a super chat through YouTube. And of course, I will be following all of that as they pop up. I don't know what else we have to cover. I think that's it. Let's get this party going, and let's see how this turns out. Okay. Philip Stahl says, Nick, lock yourself in the vault. Also, does your wife's cousin need a husband? No, she is happily married as well. I told you, my family is a marrying family. And my wife's family is a marrying family. I guess my family's not so much. My wife's family is a marrying family, and they are pretty much all spoken for. So, Saffron, the Stream Me comments coming through on my chat app. I assume it is coming through on the whatchamacallit. It should be coming through on the window as well. So thank you for joining. I will, let's see. Acknowledged. Ooh, that was very fancy. Okay, let's get into this lawsuit here, guys. Oh, I gotta move this stupid bottle. I will say this sriracha vodka is about on par with Fireball whiskey for disgustingness. Here we go. So Glenn Allen is an attorney. He is the plaintiff in this case. He is suing Heidi Beirich, Mark Potok, and the Southern Poverty Law Center. Heidi and Mark are both at least former, if not current, employees of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah, so the blonde was clickbait. No, she wasn't clickbait. She was just here. Her dinner guests, and they were here. Siren Jack said, you should have started with a Pepsid AC or some Prilosec or even Tums. Your life is going to be filled with regret. Just drinking this stuff at all fills my life with regret. All right, so let's get into the complaint. I will reread the introduction and everything. Man, my ear itches. I think it's from the liquor. It's horrible. It's horrible. Does she need a girlfriend? I'll ask her. She has a husband, but I don't think she has a girlfriend. Plaintiff Glenn K. Allen Esquire. For his complaint, he adds the Esquire, so you know he's important. For his complaint against defendants Heidi Beirich, Mark Potok, and the Southern Poverty Law Center Incorporated alleges. And guys, I have not reached out to Glenn K. Allen Esquire, but I am definitely going to. If any of you happen to know him, I know that's a long shot, right? But if anybody out there watching, Glenn, if you happen to see this, if you guys have a link to Glenn, some sort of personal thing, please extend my invitation to him. I am going to do so. However, I can either through Twitter or email. I would love to have him come on the show and talk about this suit if he's willing to do so. And we can trash talk this absolutely abysmal organization. And if you guys can't tell, because sometimes people come out into the comments section, they say something like, oh, you're biased. Yes, I'm absolutely biased against an organization that tries to ruin lives over speech. Absolutely. I hope it burns to the ground. I don't want anyone to die in that fire, but I want the building to miraculously vanish. I want the building to be raptured by whatever Jesus they have and to leave all of us behind to deal with the real world. Because the Southern Poverty Law Center went from like so many organizations do, went from an organization that may have had a useful mission at one point and turned into a social justice flaring pile of trash that's only purpose now is to take wrongthink and defund it. And that is disgusting. It is the crime of the current century, the 2000 to 2099 century that we have. The crime of it is going after money when you disagree with people instead of just disagreeing with them. Why can't we just disagree? Like, if you hate the racist, just disagree with the racist. Most people do. Most people actually disagree and are just fine with that. Where you lose someone, if you're the SPLC, where you lose people is when you not only disagree with them, but you try to ruin them. Because let them ruin themselves if that's what you think will happen, or not. Maybe they can do just fine without your moral policing. And that's okay. We can do all of that. Some Scouse idiot. Good morning from Scousland. Meh, only 25 minutes. I enter in the middle of a Nick getting it rant. Oh, I'm a glass of sriracha vodka down and another one to go. We'll see how it goes. What? Hold on, guys. I hate doing this. I gotta step away for a second because apparently my second door to the vault is not closed. I'll be right back. but I can hear her through. Okay. Oh boy. All right, guys. So here we go. Yes. Back to the introduction. Oh, my ear. Guys, if I fall over, like in Blink, I guess call a hospital or something. Oh, it's filthy every time. Ugh. All right. I drink this in honor of the Southern Poverty Law Center, which we all swallow as a bitter pill of existence. Introduction. Providence has endowed humanity with the ability to grow and change. Indeed, we have a moral obligation to grow and change as we learn new aspects of reality. At the pinnacle of the means by which we grow and change should be robust dialogue, open debate, an aversion to taboos, and genuine conversation. This is the theory of our remarkable American traditions of free expression, as embodied, among other ways, in the First Amendment. But there are also other approaches to inevitable human discord. One is to draw lines of political or cultural orthodoxy, develop massive surveillance networks and extensive dossiers, and severely punish perceived transgressors who cross these lines, seem to cross them, or even seem to think about crossing them. Barrich, Potek, and the SPLC, defendants in this case, have chosen this latter approach. And guys, can you imagine what a waste your life would be if you just sat and spent it looking for people's speech to disagree with? Not like stumbling across and going, hey, you know what? I don't really agree with that. But actively looking, going out and saying, I want to find a person to destroy today because their words make me sad, because I'm such a soy-filled punching bag left alone in a basement that I need someone to batter on. I don't even know. That analogy didn't work, but it made sense to me. It made sense to me because all they're good for is hitting, but no one even wants to hit them because they're so pathetic. There, I tied it back together. The brain caught up. I don't know, maybe not. Motivated by lucrative fundraising aims and employing fundraising techniques decried across the political spectrum as deceptive, the SPLC's avowed goal, under the leadership of Barrich, Potek, and others, is to destroy, through public shaming, loss of employment, loss of reputation, and other severe harms, groups and persons the SPLC broadly defines as its political enemies. Philip Stahl, can you please take my $5 retainer and litigate the SPLC out of existence? Man, I would love to. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? The cause of... Oh, wait. Glenn Allen, plaintiff in this case, if one of Barrich's, Podek's, and the SPLC's victims. The cause of free expression itself is another, for the SPLC has become one of the most effective forces in the country for stifling honest and robust debate on controversial issues. There is no issue too controversial to debate. None. None. We can debate whether the earth is round or flat. We all know it's flat. I mean, come on. We can debate it. We can allow the globulards to come out and spew their propaganda. That's fine. We can throw them into the dome later. Doesn't matter. Guys, the Holocaust, we can debate it. Even if everyone on Earth agreed it didn't happen, we can have the one guy who thinks it did. I'm obviously being ridiculous, YouTube. Don't Carl Benjamin me. It doesn't matter what the subject is. That's the point. We all know Coke is better than Pepsi, for example. Like all of these things. We can debate anything because people, one, might not know the reality. They might not know. And they can debate it. And then we can educate them. Or two, they might disagree with the narrative. And raising up a ridiculous premise might be a rhetorical technique to get people to think about the accepted facts and question them. That's actually okay. We can do that. Like, World War II happened. There's some sort of Holocaust. If someone wants to bring up the argument that the Holocaust didn't happen for the purpose of questioning the motivations behind the war, for example, okay, you don't have to agree. Just ignore them if you don't like them. It doesn't matter what the argument is. If you can't beat it, you might have a problem. And I think that's what really worries people, is that we get to this point where we accept things as true because we know they must be. And then we become lax and we can't defend them. Because there's a real question. Like, there's a real question about the flat, like, do you know the math to prove the earth is round? Do you? Why don't you? And if you don't know the math to prove the earth is round, if you don't know the tests that do it, shouldn't you? Like, if nothing else, shouldn't you? Like, isn't that a disservice that you've just been told it your whole life? For example, it doesn't matter what these are. It doesn't matter what the argument is. That's the point. That's the point, that our entire society is thrown out the window, and it's disgusting. If you don't know the reasons, then you don't have an argument. Okay? Anonymous Bagel Goose says, within the law, macaw fears the samurai. I fear nothing, sir. I fear no man, certainly not one dressed up in banded mail, carrying around a brittle sword. I will take all of them. I will take all of them. All right. Let's get back to it. I apologize. I'm probably going to tangent and rant through a lot of this. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Saffron asks if this is related to the last SPL thing you streamed about. The intro sounds the same. This is the same thing, but today we're going to go from the intro through the whole complaint. We're going to go through the whole complaint. I just teased the intro on the last one, but I want to make sure people have access to all of it. Plus, I want to, make sure I get the chance to scream about whatever. All right. Stifling debate on controversial issues. If you can't debate, if you don't let the person who denies the moon landing to make their points and then refute them, you just shut them down, they'll always deny the moon landing. They'll never believe it. If you shut them down rather than convince them, then they'll never, ever learn. And you've done a disservice to your fellow person. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what it is. Birich, Potok, and the SPLC are entitled to espouse their outlook forcefully. They are not entitled, however, to the following actions, all alleged and supported in this complaint: to receive, pay for, and use stolen documents, including confidential confidential documents and documents protected by attorney-client privilege, to tortiously interfere with Allen's prospective advantage in employment, to defame him by publishing false statements that he was infiltrating the city of Baltimore's law department, or to masquerade as a 501c3 public interest law firm dedicated to a tax-exempt educational mission, when in reality the SPLC fails the basic requirements for this favored status because of its illegal actions, including numerous instances of mail and wire fraud, multiple violations of canons of professional ethics, including improper disclosure of confidential and privileged documents, and failure to train its non-lawyer employees. Orchestration of violations of the constitutional rights of the organizations and individuals it targets, and sensationalist, supermarket tabloid-style, one-sided depictions of its victims. The reality is that Birich, Potok, and the SPLC have perfected what the scholar Laird Wilcox, speaking of the SPLC, called ritual defamation. Quote, a way of harming and isolating people by denying their humanity and trying to convert them into something that deserves to be hated and eliminated. They accuse others of this, but utilize their enormous resources to practice it on a mass scale themselves. See paragraph 21 of this complaint, which we'll get to, but that's what this is. That is what this garbage is. That is what, not just the SPLC, this is social justice embodied in a perfect quote. A perfect quote. It means to unperson people. Now, they call racists people who unperson people based on their race. I would argue with that distinction quite a bit. I don't think they think of them as not people. I think they think of them as people who deserve something less, or maybe who have earned something less. It doesn't really matter what the value is. I don't really think that they unperson people. However, who does unperson people is the people who shut down speech. Shut down the ability to communicate your side. Because if you can't rebut the argument, if you can't rebut the accusation, then you become whatever caricature they paint of you. And that is the unpersoning that is dangerous and destructive. Who are you if you're not yourself, but rather someone else's depiction of you? Who can you be? The level of danger here is beyond comprehension, because it's not like racism used to be called ignorance. Anti-Semitism used to be called ignorance. They just don't know. They just don't understand. They're not in their shoes. They have their privilege or whatever. Okay, fine. That's fine. They just don't get it. It's no longer that way, and the way they return fire is no longer that way. One, racists are hateful and evil. Okay. But when you take a person who maybe isn't racist, right? Maybe they're not what you say they are, and then you decide to label them that, and then you convince the entire world that being this thing means that this focused and individual person doesn't get to exist. Not a class of people that you discount. Because, like it or not, class distinctions will exist for all time. They're always going to exist. Whether it's skin color, hair color, income level, and the left is so good at hating on different income levels. Income level, national origin, sexual orientation, political orientation, it doesn't matter. We will find hierarchies to label people. But when you label broad swaths of individuals and disregard them based on that, everyone can just ignore you. They can just ignore that distinction. They can say, you know what? Okay, so they don't like black people. Well, I find that ridiculous. So of course I find them ridiculous. That's easy to do. What's hard to do is to say one person, to take one person, not a class, not a group. Because if you take one person and say, I dislike this person to the point where they shouldn't be able to eat, because they shouldn't be able to earn income, shouldn't be able to earn money, shouldn't be able to get services, no hospital care for them, no food for them, no Best Buy for them, no 6-inch HDMI cables at Radio Shack or whatever you want. None of that, because of the individual. Well, then everybody looks at it and says, wait a minute, why do I hate this person? Why am I supposed to hate this person? It's easy to dismiss someone's hatred of a group. It's harder to dismiss someone's hatred of a person. And that is terrifying to me. Okay. Let's see. Philip Stahl said, oh wait, Keck7Go says, American Pepsi tastes like sweaty balls. Keck, I'm not going to ask how you know to compare that. Philip Stahl says, I like an earth with curves. Hashtag fat earth. I go with thick earth. THICC earth, right, buddy? Ben Cheever says, your content has been top quality lately. Always happy to see notifications for them. Always happy when people get the notifications, because sometimes I wonder how bad I've pissed off YouTube on the average day. But here we go. Back into it. Oh, God, it's disgusting. Okay. In a moment of candor, Defendant Potok, the editor-in-chief of the SPLC's intelligence report, boasted, "We see this political struggle, right? I mean, we're not trying to change anybody's mind. We're trying to wreck the groups, and we are very clear in our head. We are trying to destroy them." See also paragraphs 20 and 35 of this complaint. Barrich has similarly boasted that the SPLC has been, quote, watching Allen like a hawk because, according to Barrich, the SPLC, and the SPLC, he, quote, has the worst ideas ever. Ideas! Who cares what's in someone's head? It's what is the product of their hands that we care about. Not even the voice that comes out. It's the product of their labor, their efforts. What fruit do they produce, right? To bring this biblical, what fruit are they producing? If it's just words, who cares? Ignore them. Ignore anybody. If you can't ignore people, get off of Twitter for a month and you'll be able to ignore people again. It's a miraculous a way to do that. But if you can always ignore the words. What you can't do is you can't ignore when people can't buy food. It's almost like there was a giant movement sometime in the 60s, like a bunch of men marching. I don't know what it was called, because people couldn't buy food. We determined that they couldn't buy food, that they weren't worth buying food at our counters, at our establishments. And a bunch of people marched against that, and then the country eventually rallied around that. They're like, wait a minute. Everyone should be able to buy food. Guys, that doesn't change because the everyone is suddenly a Nazi. It doesn't change. All right. See paragraph 47 of this complaint. So here's the essence. Barrich, Potok, and the SPLC conducted lengthy and close surveillance on. I bet they didn't even ask for his consent. Hashtag me too. Plotted to destroy and then did destroy Glenn Allen, who's performing ethically and competently as any attorney for his adopted city, or as an attorney for his adopted city of Baltimore. Because Barrich, Potok, and the SPLC did not like what they thought was going on inside of Allen's head. The defendant's destruction of Allen was highly effective, causing his termination as an attorney for the city of Baltimore. And guys, if you think, even if Allen's a racist, I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about this guy. But even if he's a racist, if you think the worst quality in a city attorney is that they're a racist, I got news. Go talk to some city attorneys. Terrible. Just kidding. I love you all. I love you. The ones around me. I love all of you and respect all of you very much. Causing his termination as an attorney for the city of Baltimore and ravaging the reputation as an attorney he had achieved over decades by performing ethical and competent work, including substantial pro bono work for African Americans and others. Glenn Allen has a pro bono for African Americans, guys. For the reasons set forth below, accordingly, Allen requests legal redress. Legal redress. Keck7Go says, I think it's more cruel to condemn someone to only shop at Radio Shack. Also, you should know how I know about balls. That's a dangerous accusation to put out on the internet, sir. Parties. Plaintiff Glenn K. Allen is a resident of Baltimore, Maryland. Defendant SPLC is a corporation formed under the laws of the state of Alabama. Its headquarters are in Montgomery. The SPLC's intelligence project is an association, in fact, formed within the SPLC, consisting of and conducted by a subset of SPLC officers and employees, including defendants Heidi Barrich and Mark Potok. Defendant Heidi Barrich is the director of the SPLC's intelligence project, is a resident of the state of Alabama, which makes her a racist. Defendant Mark Potok was an employee of the SPLC from 1997 until approximately 2017. While employed at the SPLC, he was editor-in-chief of the Intelligence Project's Intelligence Report and a SPLC Senior Fellow. On information and belief, he is a resident of the state of Alabama, also a racist, or some other state other than Maryland. And guys, if you don't know, accusations of racism are just opinions, man. Just my opinion about their political or their ideological beliefs about people. So I can believe they're racists all day, right? That's the shield that all of these SJW chumps hide under, is that it's an opinion. Well, it's just my interpretation of their words. Carrie Dalton says, how is what the SPLC doing different from Sleeping Giants, who basically looks to deplatform any media personality who says something they don't like? I don't know much about Sleeping Giants. I'll have to look into them. What I would suggest is that the thing that makes it different and sinister is that the SPLC is called the Southern Poverty Law Center, and it is staffed by attorneys. And that's what makes me hate them. We're supposed to champion the rights of all people, including the racists. Like the worst person on earth, your attorney is supposed to be able to get along with the person who would murder children, right? Like they're supposed to be able to at least sit in the room across the table from them and decide, I despise what this person does, but I will vigorously defend them to the extent of my constitutional oath. When you're in a group and your purpose is to destroy people based on speech, you violated your constitutional oath. Inherently, you must have. And that bothers me. I despise these people. Philip Stahl, as we all know, Alabama is the intellectual center of this country. No dummies there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Dr. Dreadman of Mystery, how can they be a corporation and a nonprofit at the same time? Nonprofit entities are usually corporations. They're formed as a corporate entity, nonprofit, and then someday I'll have to go ahead and probably talk about how this works, but nonprofit entities are created under state law. 501c3 tax exemption is separate from nonprofit. You can actually be a taxable nonprofit that is not exempt from federal taxation. You can do that. It's a weird thing to do, but you can. If they, for some reason, don't qualify as a 501c3 but need various state protections, stuff like that. I don't know. Well, wait, no, we know the SPLC is a 501c3 and a nonprofit. But yeah. Excuse me. Being a nonprofit corporation is not strange. Not strange. All right. Here we go. Jurisdiction and venue. This court has diversity of citizenship jurisdiction, that's subject matter jurisdiction, pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1332. Plaintiff is a citizen of Maryland. Defendants are citizens of Alabama or some other state other than Maryland. The amount in controversy exceeds $75,000 exclusive of interest and costs. The court also has subject matter jurisdiction pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1331 and supplemental jurisdiction pursuant to 28 U.S.C. 1367, and I am not sober enough to explain those. This court has personal jurisdiction over the SPLC under Section 6-103B1, B3, and or B4 of the Courts and Judicial Proceedings Articles of the Maryland Annotated Code. This would probably be Maryland's long-arm statute. Long-arm statute is what allows a state or a district court within a state, because they usually follow state rules, to exercise jurisdiction over an entity or a person. So here we go. Facts supporting jurisdiction include Barrich, as the SPLC's Director of Research and Director of its Intelligence Project, wrote and published an article on or about August 17, 2016 that tortiously interfered with Allen's prospective business advantage and injured him as a result of negligent training and supervision, as further described in this complaint. This article was distributed in written form in Maryland and was published on the SPLC's website, which was accessible to and accessed by Maryland residents. Now, let me point out that just posting the article on on the SPLC's website and allowing people to access it is not sufficient for personal jurisdiction, typically speaking. It has to be targeted to the forum. Now, publishing it in written form and distributing it in written form in Maryland is targeting the jurisdiction. And of course, if the SPLC is looking to deplatform him, they're probably going to do it where he lives, right? Writing a written report, distributing it in Baltimore so that they can foment rage. And honestly, what worse thing can you imagine than fomenting rage? Like, what is the point of whipping the mob into a frenzy? The mob doesn't fact check. The mob doesn't question. The mob froths. That's why it's such an effective tool of both political parties over the past century. Because the mob doesn't care. They just want blood. And it doesn't matter where the blood comes from. It doesn't matter if the blood is pure. It only matters that the blood flows. So to froth up a mob, again, like look, stepping beyond the legality and looking at the ethics and morals of how these people operate. Their job, their goal in life is to foment idiots into a frenzy. One of the most dangerous things you can do is foment people who have no accountability and no measure of trust into a rage against a target. Because what happens? In this case, it's firing. In other cases, it was lynching. It's the literal thing that the SPLC was fighting against at its inception. Violence comes from a frothed, frenzied mob. These people are disgusting in their basic core principles. All right. Barrich or someone at her direction sent press releases into Maryland. Hammer in the coffin, they're done. A press release into Maryland, targeted to Maryland press for a Maryland resident, jurisdiction, you got it. You got it. No judge is going to say, unless they send a press release to literally every organization. And even then they might say yes. All right. Including into the offices of the Baltimore Sun. Baltimore Sun, of course, notorious legal and crime publishing arm of the Baltimore Sun. If you don't know, the guy who wrote The Wire, I believe it's the Baltimore Sun that he wrote the crime desk for like 20 years before writing The Wire. That's why The Wire is so stinking good, because he knows all of the people and the characters are very real. If you haven't watched The Wire, ignore the liberalism of it and just watch it. Just watch it. Such a good show. Chapter Master Dante says, more blood for the blood mob. Yes. Thank you, Chapter Master Dante. Glad to see you're still alive, buddy. The oldest living space marine somewhere north of a millennia. Keck7Go says, take the beef pill. Have you ever seen an Arby's parking lot be anything but empty, even during the lunch rush? Oh, shots fired at Arby's. They don't care about losing money and haven't since the 80s because whoever owns them is a cocaine lord or something. Open your eyes, sheeple. I actually like, I don't eat fast food. I really don't eat fast food. But when I do, I don't always eat fast food. But when I do, I get a giant roast beef sandwich from Arby's. There's something about biting through layers and layers of disgusting roast beef that's delicious. All right. All right, here we go. Baltimore Sun and other newspapers that are distributed in Maryland setting forth, summarizing, or otherwise calling attention to the August 17, 2016 article. Barrich made telephone calls into Maryland. Done. In connection with the August 17, 2016 article, Barrich gave telephone interviews to newspapers distributed in Maryland, including the Baltimore Sun, Regarding the August 17, 2016 article, the SPLC for many years has regularly sent literature and fundraising appeals into Maryland, including to Allen, and garnered substantial sums from these appeals. The SPLC conducts surveillance on what it describes as hate groups in Maryland by, inter alia, among other things, using agents and informants in Maryland, often paid agents and informants. Having employees in Maryland is not good. To infiltrate, spy on, and report to the SPLC regarding those groups and or individuals the SPLC deems associated with the groups. And representatives of the SPLC, including Morris Dees, have visited Maryland to give lectures promoting SPLC. This court's exercise of personal jurisdiction over the SPLC comports with constitutional due process standards. As described in the prior paragraph, the SPLC has purposefully established sufficient minimum contacts. That's international shoe. That's international shoe, guys. If you don't know about minimum contacts, you better read international shoe. With Maryland, such that it should reasonably anticipate being hailed into court in Maryland. Moreover, the assertion of personal jurisdiction is reasonable and consistent with traditional notions of fair play and substantial justice. See Calder versus Jones and Keaton versus Hustler magazine. The best of magazines, apparently. Actually, Hustler magazine, we all owe a service to Hustler magazine and Larry Flint, because Larry Flint and Hustler magazine, like the in a funny way, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, Hustler magazine and Larry Flint and the Jehovah's Witnesses pushed us by being willing to take risks into more freedom, into the heightened amounts of free speech that we have today. It's because of the magazine that wasn't content with just showing breasts, right? That was Hustler's crime. Oh, and making fun of Jerry Falwell. And who doesn't make fun of Jerry Falwell? That guy's a pile of dead garbage. Composting in the ground, thank God. Thank God. I don't know if he brought him home or if he sent him away. It doesn't matter. He took that flaming trash heap away from us. All right. Vladimir M. Ivanovich says, if you get put on the SPLC hate list, are you banned from Israel? I don't know. I don't know that they're specifically... I think that'd be the Anti-Defamation League hate list. Anti-Defamation League hate list. Let's see. Maybe it's true. I don't know. And most importantly, I Am Pinhead says, Omar coming. Omar coming. Bagel Goose masked me and says, every time I get Arby's, it reminds me of my ex. Well, why is... Do I want to know why that is, Bagel Goose? Lydia Shewitt says, I hope you're having a good night. Lydia, I am having a fantastic night. Thank you for the well wishes, and thank you for asking. This court has personal jurisdiction over Barrich under 6103B1, B3, and B4 of the Courts and Judicial Proceedings, Articles of the Maryland Annotated Code. Facts supporting this jurisdiction include Barrich as the SPLC's Director of Research and Director of its Intelligence Project wrote and published an article on or about August 17, 2016, tortiously interfered with Allen's prospective business advantage and injured him as a result of negligent training and supervision. As for... Why do I feel like I just read this exact same thing? I did. It's actually a different paragraph, but it's the same words. I'm going to skip it. Wow. Oh, this is over Barrich as opposed to SPLC generally. That's why. Rick Rekieta says, the cake is a lie. What cake? What cake? What cake are you talking about? So then personal jurisdiction over Potok. Basically, I'm going to skip this. It's basically the same thing as Barrett. It just says he assisted or approved Barrett. Oh, excuse me. He assisted them. So then it all comports with fair play, due process. Court also has personal jurisdiction over Barrett and Potok as to this complaint's RICO claim. It's never RICO. It's never RICO. Pursuant to 18 USC 1965 B and D, and supplemental jurisdiction over all defendants as to the pendent state law claims pursuant to 18 USC 1367. Venue is appropriate in that a substantial part of the events or omissions giving rise to this action occurred in this judicial district, and the defendants are subject to personal jurisdiction here. Rick Rekieta says, God, you're such a boomer. Well, I know that, buddy. I know I'm a boomer. I know I'm a boomer. The cake is a lie. I'm also really getting tossed on this disgusting vodka. Oh, it's so bad. Never go full RICO, pages. Never go full RICO. Factual allegations. The SPLC. So it's important to know, guys. Let's take a pause. Let me take a pause. Whew. Let me take a pause and say that so far, this is a well-written, well-drafted complaint so far. The introduction was a bit expository, a little bit profound, like forced profundity, but I think it was tastefully done and will serve them well going forward. I think that was a good move. The jurisdictional arguments are sound. They're well supported. They're focused on specific events, those specific events being the events alleged. It's always important to tie your facts to law. It's very easy to lay out a bunch of facts and lay out a bunch of law and not tie them together. What are you doing in here? Oh, okay. I was just curious. Did our guest sleep? No. Man.
Sorry.
No, you're not making a scene. I've had way too much of this disgusting vodka. No!
Oh, I get what you're saying. My bad.
I'm dying.
What?
I'm good.
No.
You can... We're good. We're good, lady. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we go. No, I don't need any. It was a roast. I don't need any food. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Okay. So, as I was saying, this is strongly worded. It's well worded so far. It's making a very profound point. It's all completely well supported to this point. We'll see how they go, but they're building a narrative here, right? The narrative is that this big organization, and this is the important part. This is what the judge has to pick up, is your narrative. We don't talk enough about story in lawsuits. Dave Ruck over on StreamMe. Hail, buddy. Hail. He says, hail Rekieta Law. Heil back. I guess that was the German spelling. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I'm going to be on the SPLC's list soon. Narrative, story, storytelling, writing methodology is important in law because you're telling, like, that's what we do, right? We tell a story to some idiot behind the bench or 12 idiots that they pull from the crowd. We tell them the better story than the dumb prosecutor, right? That's our whole job. Tell a better story and you win. And you win because they're people. We pretend that this is all an operation of law, but it's an operation of people. And attorneys who don't get that will be eternally frustrated. You've got to understand people. Glenn Allen so far understands people. This is a story about an organization an organization that is very well known, is very popular, is oft cited. However, what do they do? Southern Poverty Law Center defending black people pro bono? No. That if they are, that's not their public arm. Have you ever heard of the Southern Poverty Law Center like sending a bunch of lawyers up to Detroit to do law clinics and help a bunch of black people get out of petty crimes that they shouldn't be charged for? No. Have you ever heard of the Southern Poverty Law Center submitting an amicus brief in a police shooting? No. Have you ever heard of a Southern Poverty Law Center fighting for kids? No. All you hear them do is target individuals, target groups, and unperson them. That's the narrative he's spinning, and it's very, very effective. Because even if the judge likes, he's like, you know what? I like those guys. They're fine. Even if the judge likes him, he's going, but wait a minute. What did they do to this guy? What did they do to this guy? Why are they focusing on one person? Why are they trying to destroy his career? Why aren't they just saying racism is bad? We should do these things. We should promote social justice. Whatever they do, they can do that without trying to wreck an individual. So that's the narrative he's telling. So far, it's very effective. So far, it's very effective. Philip Stahl says, I heart cheap vodka. I don't know what this alleged cake is either. Me either, buddy. Me either. And I don't see Rick Rekieta clarifying. If he did, he didn't tag me. Buddy, if you need to clarify, you got to clarify for me. You got to tag me. Clarify. Okay, back to the factual allegations. Sorry to ramble on that. Although the SPLC, including its intelligence project, is respected by many, look at that, concession. A lot of people respect this. Its conduct for decades has provoked sharp, well-founded criticism for a multitude of reasons and across a broad spectrum of political viewpoints. For example, always tie your facts to law. Always tie this situation to explain it to the judge. Pretend the judge is an idiot. He is. The judge is just another idiot. He's just a random dummy with a robe. And he's probably naked underneath. And guys, if you're judges out there, if you may be watching, we all know you pounded out in chambers. We all know you pounded out in chambers between cases. Especially when you got like a prostitute that you're going ahead and prosecuting. We know, okay? It's okay. We all would too. Judges are people. They pretend not to be. They try hard to convince you that they're not a person, that they're a robe and a gavel, but they're just a person. It's just a guy. You got to remember all this in court, guys. Like, ignore most of you aren't going to be lawyers. Most of you. Carrie Dalton, I know you're still out there. You're a lawyer. You know this. It's just a guy or a girl. Remember that. Don't pretend that there's something different. They're just a man or a woman in a robe, in a stupid, arbitrary color with arbitrary authority over the people around them. Not because they did something, not because they're better equipped than the attorneys in the room. Oftentimes, they're just as equipped or less equipped. It doesn't matter. They don't actually know the law. They're going to go research it just like you spent the last day doing. If you're a plaintiff or a defendant, the judge is just a person. It's just a guy. Just a dude. Appeal to the dude and not the robe. It's all an illusion for you. It's all an illusion. If your attorney is not appealing to the dude or the lady, then your attorney is not winning. Promise you. I promise you. You can fool them. You can trick them. You can hoodwink them. You can do it respectfully. You can just sell them the best freaking story you can tell. It doesn't matter if it's you or your attorney doing it. Always follow the advice of your attorney. Doesn't matter who's doing it. Remember that that's a person. That's not a robot. They want to pretend to be a robot. They suck at it. It's just a guy. Okay. For example, the SPLC's aim is not merely to monitor, but to destroy the hate group it defines. In bold, the SPLC's 501c3 tax status rests upon its supposed educational mission of monitoring hate groups. Screw 501c3. No one should be tax exempt. Get rid of it. Get rid of tax exemption, period. Because of this. Tax exemption needs to apply uniformly to every opinion, and if it can't, it should be gone. That means every tax exemption should be gone. I'm sorry. Everyone should be taxed, and the tax rate should be significantly lower. Significantly lower. Monitoring hate groups and hateful persons as it defines them. The reality, however, is that the SPLC does not merely monitor, but seeks to destroy these groups and persons. Not only does the SPLC's conduct demonstrate its destructive aims, but Potok and Barrich have boasted about them. Many observers have noted this. For example, Karl Zeinmeister. Well, that guy sounds like a Nazi. Come on, Alan. Gary, whatever your name is, Gary. Gary Allen, I think. I forgot his name. Karl Zeinmeister seems like he might have been a direct report to the Hitler, if we're being honest. Former director of the White House Domestic Policy Council and a leading national authority on philanthropy, recently noted in an article in the spring 2017 issue of Philanthropy magazine. And I quote, for a long time, "It is entirely fair to disagree with any of these charities or individuals, in brackets, on the SPLC hate list, but utterly unfair to insist that they are hate criminals. The largest category on the SPLC haters list is anti-government groups. 663 entries, exclamation point. This dragnet, how dare you? How dare you call it a dragnet? Catches the Tea Party and patriot organizations that are suspicious of centralized power, which last we checked was a long and honorable American tradition. So is racism, technically speaking, if we're being honest. What is not part of an honorable American tradition is the course of action prescribed by the top SPLC leader, Mark Potok. Quote, sometimes the press will describe us as monitoring hate crimes and so on. I want to say plainly that our aim in life is to destroy these groups, to completely destroy them. So not only are they just a bunch of like SJW nonsense, they're also commie totalitarian scumbags. In parentheses, to see him say it. Start at minute 135 of this video with a YouTube link. So to see him say it, and that's powerful. True American Hero says racism is good, actually. I would disagree, but you know, people have different opinions, and I'm not in the business of changing them, in all honesty. Except as it regards the legal process and how we properly assess what is going on in this world. Whew. Here we go. As a further example, Professor Carol Swain, a retired professor at Vanderbilt University and an African American, he found a black to agree with him. It's always important. Got too much Fortnite in the world. It's always important to find a black for your point. In an article in the September 11th, hashtag never forget, 2017 Wall Street Journal described how the SPLC smeared her. The SPLC hates black people and targeted her for destruction because she had advocated a more inclusive dialogue on race issues than the SPLC is willing to permit. Professor Swain, a black who the SPLC hates because they're racist, lynch-mobbing, disgusting segregationists. Professor Swain stated, the SPLC's Retaliation was vicious and effective. This is all a quote. On October 17th, 2009, my photo appeared on the front page of my local newspaper, The Tennessean, with the quote, Carol Swain is an apologist for white supremacists. They could have just called her an Auntie Tom. You can't call a woman an Uncle Tom. That would be sexist. But an Auntie Tom. Auntie Tom. That was Mark Potok, at the time the SPLC's national spokesman. Context for Mr. Potok's attack was a review I gave for a film titled A Conversation About Race. I endorsed it for classroom use because it offered a perspective on race rarely encountered on university campuses. Guys, you can only encounter honest conversations about race in the dark, orgy-filled dungeons of the residential units of university campuses. Mr. Potok argued that the filmmaker was a bigot. A bigot. How dare he be a bigot? Which, again, if bigotry is just an assertion that your perspective is superior to all others, the SPLC is literally, by definition, bigots. And everyone that they call bigots are likely not bigots because they don't understand basic English. And I don't know what's up with Restream and Stream Me, but Restream has stopped relaying the Stream Me chat. And I apologize to the Stream Me. Guys, I am watching your chat every now and then. As best I can, and that's not because you're on Streamy. It's because I'm severely inebriated and impaired. But I am watching, so if you tag me, I will try and read your make sure and call attention to your chat. But it's not showing up in the stream, and there's nothing I can do about it. The Restream chat window hates Streamy for whatever reason. And I apologize for that. I apologize. Okay. All right. Filmmaker was a bigot. I felt then and now that the perspective needed to be heard. It's almost like bigots might make points that need to be addressed. Not necessarily that they're good points or bad points, but that they might need address and rebuttal and thought and consideration. It's okay. It's okay to... Even if you're the most staunchly racist person you could possibly encounter, if you hate everyone who isn't Asian, it's okay to entertain that Mexicans might be as good as Asians and then disagree. Fine. It's okay to encounter the dialogue. It's okay. We're not that fragile. Bagel Goose masked me and said Mel Gibson doesn't like banker Americans. Doesn't mean his movies are bad. No, Lethal Weapon is a national treasure, despite his various views on a particular ethnicity. Woo. Some Scouse Idiot says, in my house, Nick, all day, I'll allow all who ever visit to talk about anything as long as it is interesting enough to gab about. Yes! I let my father-in-law rave about Trump all day, even when I agree or disagree about his recent actions. I'll let him rehash Mark Levin and Rush and just regurgitate their opinions all day. That's fine. Like, if they're an interesting one. If they're not, I'll say, you know what, I don't care. I haven't been following it. If it's interesting, of course I'll follow it. Of course. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your political perspective is. You should always be willing to entertain a counter argument because maybe you're the idiot. Have you considered that you're the idiot? Okay, anyways. This negative article was featured on the front pages of several, this is a long quote, newspapers, and it went viral, especially in black media outlets. Being targeted by the SPLC has had a lasting impact on my life and career. Life first. Offers from other universities ended and speaking opportunities declined once you've been smeared in this way. Mainstream news outlets. And we know the mainstream news outlets are gargling on the sweaty testicle hair of the SPLC because they're terrified of what this group of jerks will do to them. Sometimes it would be easier to use profanity. Are less likely to cite you as an expert of any kind. Well, you must be an idiot, black lady, if you don't agree with the narrative that the white people at the SPLC set out for you. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's decide. Mark, Otak. I can't type, guys. Good thing I'm not driving. Let's look at this guy. Look at this. Remember, this soy-filled pile of trash. Oh my God. Hold on. Just a disaster. Look at this thing is telling a black person that she doesn't understand race properly. This thing. Look at the face. Shocked. Is anyone else shocked? Is anyone else shocked that this thing, this disgusting maggot, looks like this? Is anyone else surprised? I'm not surprised at all. Well, look at him. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I meant to click on the stupid picture. Look at him. His forehead goes on for decades. His forehead goes on for decades. Look at how proud he is. Look at how proud he is. Imagine what he has shoved up in his nethers to do this picture. This guy is telling a black lady that she's the racist. Are we kidding? Are we kidding now? What's this other dummy's name? Barrich? Michelle? I don't even remember her name. How white do you want to bet that this lady is? What's her stupid name? Hold on. Heidi. Whew. I apologize. Heidi Barrich. See, Heidi Barrich. Thank goodness Google autofilled that. Oh, guess what? Guys, she's under 100 pounds. I just have to point out that she is well under 100 pounds. Look at her. Could you eat? Oh, wait, here we go. Here we go. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that a fat, disgusting pustule would be telling black women that they're wrong on the race issue? Who would have guessed? I'm certainly not me. Certainly not me. I'm sorry if you guys have eaten recently. I'm sorry that this, look at that. That this giant, it's filthy. Good Lord. Look up the definition of treadmill. Oh my God. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed that it's the most pasty, Elmer's glue-laden fatso telling black women that they're racist? Sure. Shocker. Shocker. Whoops. Grab the wrong window. Grab the wrong window. All right. Good Lord. Just disgusting. Have you no self-respect? None at all? Oh. That chick is so disgusting that John McAfee would be trying to bang its blowhole. Oh. Philip Stahl says, he has the soy mouth and everything. Sure does. Sure does. Sure does. Nice and thick like a pile of cottage cheese. Just grow any self-awareness and put down the fork, you fat, disgusting pile. Oh my gosh. Okay, back to the document. News outlets are less likely to cite you as an expert of any kind. Yet today I wear the SPLC's mud as a badge of honor. Oh, careful, they'll accuse you of blackface next. You and Jemima, they'll accuse you of blackface for wearing mud as a badge of honor because I know I am in the company of many good men and women who've been similarly vilified for standing for righteousness and truth. Other SPLC targets have included Ben Carson, another black man. It's almost like the SPLC hates black people, who eventually received an apology and retraction. Hopefully they fisted themselves afterwards. Violently. They could get that fat giant forearm that's so toned from grabbing Twinkies right up a Potok's bunghole. She could just sit in there with it, right? Like dropping it around as the apology to Ben Carson. Somali refugee Ayan Hirsi Ali, again, I'm guessing a white Somali refugee. Terrorism expert Steve Emerson. Political scientist Gunter Louis, who successfully sued the SPLC. Bless you, sir. Peace be upon your immortal soul. May all of the virgins meet you in the afterlife. Attorney Robert Muis, Frank Gaffney of the Center for Security Policy, and Princeton professor Robert P. George. The SPLC has tagged Mr. George, a devout Catholic intellectual, as anti-LGBT. Well, heaven forbid that he have a moral opposition to the gays and the lesbians and the transgender people and the bisexuals, the people who can't make a decision. Heaven forbid you have a moral decision. By the way, I got nothing against any of them, even in the context of religion. However, I don't care when people do. Oh, Siren Jag, this stream is staying up, buddy. This stream is staying up. Who cares? Who cares? Ayan is a female genital mutilation victim. Why does the SPLC, racist white Twinkies at the SPLC, cream puffs? What are fat foods? I don't even know. Pugs. That lady looked like a pug. I don't know. What are they? But other than supporters of female genital mutilation, they're certainly not interested in female genitalia. Right? I mean, even if that fat lady's a lesbian, she's more interested in the white cake with white frosting than female genitals. She doesn't care about that. All right, back to it. Whatever label the SPLC assigns, such smears are harmful and designed to destroy the individual's credibility and ability to have influence in the public square. Some of those vilified by the SPLC have been subjected to even worse treatment. The Family Research Council, who I don't even agree with the Family Research Council, but that doesn't mean the SPLC has any moral authority over them. And House Majority Whip Stephen Scalise have been violently attacked by individuals inspired by the propaganda the SPLC regularly dishes out. And that's what they are. They're a propaganda arm. They take all the tactics of the hated Nazis and they apply them to their political enemies. Their political enemies. Not even their ideological enemies, y'all. Because if you think there's no racist Democrats out there, let me just go ahead and tell you that Nancy Pelosi is probably eating aborted black fetuses right now. She's shoving those abortions into her mouth as we speak. That disgusting ghoul is up on stage telling us how to live while she is in the back room slurping up DNCs or D&Es constantly. She's got a silly straw dedicated to black abortions. Nancy Pelosi, you can die any day and the world will be better for it. You disgusting hag. You disgusting pile of trash. Okay. Some of those vilified by the SPLC have been subjected to even worse treatment. Family Research Council and House Majority Whip Stephen Scalise have been violently attacked by individuals inspired by the propaganda of the SPLC regularly dishes out. Remember, guys, Fatso Heather Heyer got run over by James Fields. Actually, his car didn't touch her at all. James Fields hit another car, which killed Heather Heyer. And that is the fault. That is the fault of various white people groups. But the SPLC inducing people to specifically hate individuals isn't. No one put a sign up that said Heather Heyer needs to be targeted. She was just 6 Hostess cakes from walking away, right? Like, that's what happened there. She just couldn't get out of the way of the car. By the way, no one needs to die from violence, but I'm pretty sure that we don't have the true story on what happened in Charlottesville. And I hate people like James Fields. Don't care about him at all. Don't care for him or his political views. Don't care. But as a defense attorney, my air raid siren is ringing, so to speak, on that prosecutor's closing statements. And I would love to see the full transcript of that courtroom. I don't know if we'll ever get it. But I would love to see it, because I'm pretty sure we all got sold a fiction that day, including when that soy-filled, noodle-armed garbage heap of a professor lied on the stand and said, well, I don't know. I don't know if it was James Fields' car that I was bravely waving away with my rifle. My rifle. You know what he does with that rifle, right? That goes... We'll just say that rifle gets put away every night. I'm sure he makes sure it's unloaded first for his own safety, but he puts that thing away every single night. That scumbag, after bragging openly on YouTube, I waved him away with my rifle. That disgusting heap, not even a heap, he's too scrawny and soy-filled to be a heap. That disgusting pile of tofu came to the trial and said, maybe it was a different car. Maybe it wasn't James Fields. Yeah, right, you liar. That wasn't what you said when you were boasting. That when you were boasting, hoping for a dick in your mouth from all of the other soybeans in the room that you were hoping to go home to, right? That wasn't then. You were sure it was James Fields then. But when you got to court, you changed your mind, right? Oh, maybe it wasn't. I didn't induce him to murder a woman by pointing a gun at him. I didn't induce that. I couldn't be possibly responsible for him running into a bunch of people, injuring 28 people, and killing a fat lady. I couldn't be responsible for that. Right, you bean curd? Right? Right? You disgusting little whelp. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anonymous Bagel Goose masked me and said, am I the only one who thinks Aunt Jemima is kind of hot? Well, buddy, the question is, when you're pouring the syrup, is your thumb doing the dirty work, right, on Aunt Jemima? If so, you might be a Thomas Jefferson in disguise. Philip Stahl says, little known fact, Pelosi learned how to eat black babies from her mentor, Justice Ginsburg. And by the way, Justice Ginsburg has missed oral argument. Justice Ginsburg hasn't missed the oral consumption of a fetus in 200 years. In 200 years, she hasn't missed a sacrifice to Moloch, but she has missed oral argument 2 days in a row. Ginsburg, you disgusting corpse. It's time to retire. Go die in peace. The damage is done. We no longer need you. We no longer need you. Get in the wheelchair, go down the ramp, fall into the well, whatever it takes, get out. Get out. You're not going to outlive Trump, no matter how much necromancy you do. Get out. Rick Rekieta, which is not me. For all of you idiots out there who think Rick Rekieta is me. No, I'm Nick Rekieta. Rick Rekieta is obviously a parody account. He just says, wow. Not sure what it's in reference to, but I'll take it. There it is, guys. That's the last of that disgusting vodka. Oh, I've had that bottle for way too long. Absolutely hideous. Someone just mentioned we're only on page 10. We are. We're an hour. We're an hour and 35 minutes in. We're on page 10. I don't know if we're getting to 85 tonight, y'all. I'm not sure. But if we don't, it's coming back tomorrow. And I will be properly sauced for tomorrow, because you got to be back in the same frame of mind to keep this up. Oh. We'll keep going. We'll keep going. We're going. All right. My rage is kicking in. Guys, I'm in an Under Armour shirt. I'm 6,000 degrees and I'm allergic to heat. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Keck7 Go says, don't you mean Negromancy, the original black magic? How dare you, sir? African American omancy, please. It's 2019. It is current year, Keck7 Go. I don't care what European country you're from. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Where are we? Okay. Violently attacked by individuals. That's where that tangent started. I apologize. Inspired by the propaganda the SPLC regularly dishes out, which is often accepted without criticism and passed on by the media. Because again, the media is rim-jobbing the SPLC constantly. One, because they're in fear, and two, because they're in awe. Because the media still has to pay taxes, and the SPLC gets to do what CNN does and get a refund from the government. So they pull the cheeks, tongue the circle, and then hit the starfish with a thirsty thrust. Anderson Cooper loves it, and he knows it. Andy Coops loves the poops. Not sure what it is. Not sure. Oh, he's in it. He's in it to win it, and you know it. Passed on by media, law enforcement agencies, and universities. 3 groups which need hardcore Mel Gibson-esque reforms. Further, we're on paragraph 19. For those following at home, we have just reached all the way to paragraph 19. We're definitely on pace to finish all 85 pages tonight. Good night, Lady Rackets. I love you. I won't die. I think this vodka will be enough to carry me through. I don't intend on drinking anything other than tea. Although I'm sad I've run out of chocolate because I'm now starving. Here we go. Next. Paragraph 19 for those following at home. Further, on September 6th, 2017, leaders of 47 nonprofits sent an open letter to the media warning that the SPL's list of so-called hate groups is false and lacks any semblance of credibility. Guys, soy sauce, not even once. You take your fried rice and salt it with granular salt. Granulated sea salt. Philip Stahl says Anderson Cooper definitely tongue punches the government fart box. I think so. Absolutely. Absolutely. Is false and lacks any semblance of credibility. The letter states that the SPLC is a discredited, left-wing, political activist organization. By the way, not defunded by the IRS. When Obama went on his IRS illegal crusade, Obama, I've defended you so many times on proper executions of executive authority. However, you put the thumb right in the anus when you went after conservative groups in their tax-exempt status, and you failed to go after liberal groups, you penile eating pile of trash. You dog eating pile of garbage. Guys, Obama ate puppies. Obama ate the furry things that turn America stupid. Dogs, the worst animal on the planet, because America will believe anything a dog does because of hashtag fur and hashtag puppies. Obama ate them. Ate them like a degenerate Molochian. I keep saying Moloch. I don't know if he worships Moloch. He does. You know he does. You know Obama is performing blood rituals in the basement and self-flagellating in front of a mirror. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But he ate a dog. He ate man's best friend. That's gotta be a metaphor, right? It's gotta be. Dogs turn cops stupid. Dogs turn courts stupid. Dogs turn people stupid. Obama eats them. That's how you know he's wrong. That's how you know. Crunches through the bones and everything. Puts him in a soup, puts him in a stew, doesn't care. Doesn't care. Remember how much flack Mitt Romney got for putting a dog in a kennel and putting the kennel on top of the car and the dog living through the experience? Obama ate a dog. He cooked it and ate it. Anyway. All right. Back to where we go. So Obama targeted conservative groups. He had the IRS take away their 501c3 status or review it and put it and force them to spend thousands of dollars on attorneys and forensic accountants to keep their 501c3 status. But he didn't do it to the SPLC, an overt political activist organization. Okay, let's see. The letter states the SPLC is a discredited left-wing political activist organization that seeks to silence its political opponents with a hate group label of its own invention. An application that is not only false and defamatory, but also endangers the lives of those targeted with it. The leaders cited both political and media figures debunking the SPLC and highlighted the FBI's removal of the SPLC as a trusted source for hate crimes in 2014. Guys, I'm itchy because I'm allergic to being angry. I'm allergic to it. I'm pissed off and I'm allergic to myself right now. If the FBI who will cite Chris Steele, who will take Democrat money, who will eat Hillary Clinton's giant penis, because you know Bill gets pegged. You will eat Hillary Clinton's giant penis right in the mouth and suck DNC semen down their throats to go ahead and prosecute the DNC's political opponents. The FBI under James Comey. James, give me the cummies in the mouth and the ears and the eyes, whatever he wants. James Comey will take it in all orifices from the DNC and a British intelligence operative by the name of Chris Steele. They don't even believe the SPLC. The FBI under James Comey, under James Come On Me, won't even believe the SPLC. That's how ridiculous this organization is. And the fact that the CNN laps up the drippings of the SPLC every second they get. So does NBC. So does ABC. All of these companies are just licking it off the table, right? They're licking it off. The plastic covered leather couch. Sad news to the SPLC, you're not getting the job, but the producer's really happy that you applied. All of that, and they're just licking it off the couch later. And the FBI won't even listen to the SPLC anymore. Anonymous Bagel Goose masked me and says, shirtless stream time. We're breaking the conditioning. They're turning our journalists gay. The hormones, the freaking hormones. Freaking hormones in the water are turning the journalists gay. Brad Burns says, so glad I brought headphones to work tonight. Oh, I apologize for incessantly scratching at my head. I'm dying. The allergy is literally killing me. As noted in the introduction to this complaint, Potok openly proclaims the SPLC's destructive aims. The SPLC's anti-free expression motives are all the more egregious, given that it specifically targets ideas. As Potok also acknowledged, quote, our criteria for a hate group, first of all, have nothing to do with criminality or violence or any kind of guess we're making about the group, about, quote, this group could be dangerous. It's strictly ideological. It's stricter than the application of the safe word in the giant pegging dungeon that Potok loves. Right? Right? Darth Bobcat says, but tell us how you really feel. I don't think I can. The SPLC might label me a hate group. 21, Laird Wilcox. Laird Wilcox, a respected scholar on political fringe groups, winner of the Mencken Award, a longtime ACLU member, in a 2010 interview noted the SPLC's modus operandi, method of operations. I think that's a Latin translation. Guys, they stopped teaching Latin in law school like 100 years ago. Modus operandi of using ritual defamation to destroy groups it characterizes as hate groups. And remember, guys, in your minds, let me ASMR you. In your minds, when you picture Potok looking like an unfed, malnourished, and unsexed George Lucas, when you picture Potok saying these words, note that he is masturbating furiously, cannot stop. It is unstoppable, unquenchable sexual desire for a soybean in the anus. That's what's going on constantly as he says all of this. This is from Laird Wilcox. When you get right down to it, all the SPLC does is call people names. It's specialized, a highly developed and ritualized form of defamation. However, a way of harming and isolating people by denying their humanity and trying to convert them into something that deserves to be hated and eliminated. They accuse others of this, but utilize their enormous resources to practice it on a mass scale themselves. And guys, they don't pay taxes on the money they take in. Anyone attacked by the SPLC is basically up against a contest of resources from the ability to engage legal counsel. Why would lawyers represent hateful bigots? To all the hateful bigots out there, I will help you find a lawyer, even if it's me. Because I don't care if I disagree with you. Pay me, pay me, pay me. Let's see. Where did I go? I lost it. Legal counsel, engage legal counsel. To the access to fairness in media treatment. To the ability to survive the financial destruction of a reputation or a career. But what they do is a kind of bullying and stalking, and it absolutely is. Guys, imagine for every fap of Russell Greer to pictures of Taylor Swift, from every time Russell Greer sat in the woods outside Taylor Swift's gate and just beat off, hoping that his disgusting, corrupted semen would corrode the brick wall outside of her Nashville home and let him in. For every sad fantasy of Russell Greer grabbing Taylor Swift's fit waist while standing on a step stool. Every single one of those. Every single one of those. They are just outside the window of everyone they hate, masturbating furiously as they think about destroying them. Mark Potok is maybe the most chafed man in existence. Thinking about it. Hoping to God that he can find some little thing to destroy someone. And he can't climax until he does. Think about that. Think about that. They're on Twitter. They're on Twitter all day hoping that one of their enemies will say something racist. Think about what they do. They hope to God that someone is still anti-Semitic so they can get another donation. If you think the SPLC thinks other people hate Jews, the SPLC's funding depends on people hating Jews. If everyone stopped being anti-Semitic and racist tomorrow, the SPLC would lie to keep their money. That's how much the SPLC wants black people in chains. That's how much the SPLC wants Jamie Foxx to be Thomas Jefferson's rape slave. Because if white people don't hate black people, the SPLC dies and gets buried like the disgusting heap of earth that they are. They hate black people so much that they relish the opportunity for racism. Consider that. Consider how deranged you have to be to hope for hate every day. Rick Nikita says the black pill is real. Please, Rick Nikita, African-American pill. Trey Y says there are many people who are upset seeing someone speak freely. Keep on, rackets. Keep on. Yes. Yes, buddy. Yes, buddy. Absolutely. Guys, anyone who monetizes the calling out of hate monetizes hate more than any other group. You can say what you want about Nazis, literal Nazis, hating whoever they hate. Great. Most people aren't donating to Nazis. Right? There are no massively national funded Nazi groups. There really aren't. But there is a nationally funded group that exists based on the fear of Nazis and the existence of perceived Nazis. And the same thing exists on the fear and perspective that people still hate black people. Guys, when all of the 70-year-old people who hate black people die, the SPLC dies. They get defunded. Because everyone realizes that the vast majority of people don't care. All they want to do, all the average person wants to do, is make enough money to take home and feed their kids. That's it. They want enough money to take the chick they matched on Tinder out for lobster so they can hopefully bang her when they get home. Like, that's it. They don't really care about the race issue. But you know who does? You know who demands that black people still be inferior to white people? The Southern Poverty Law Center is the most racist organization in America because they directly profit and survive off of hate. And they're the only group that actually does. The only group that actually does. Okay, wherever we are. Where are we? Sorry. They pick people who are vulnerable in terms of public opinion and simply destroy them. They're not even going for the high-hanging fruit, right? It's always low-hanging fruit. It's always the Richard Spencers of the world. It's always a person who screwed up and said something unpopular. They're the cheerleaders, right? Everyone you hated in high school is in the SPLC. Because that's all they do. They ride the populist wave. They ride while decrying populism. They ride the populist, the safest possible path, and they just go ahead and run with it and try and destroy everybody else. So no one has to focus on the racism of the SPLC. Their victims are usually ordinary people expressing their values, opinions, and beliefs, and they're up against a very talented and articulate defamation machine. Guys, every single attorney on the SPLC staff, every single one of them, dumped somewhere north of $100,000 into their education. Somewhere north of that. Now imagine the amount of money put into eating populist penis. Imagine that. Next, the SPLC. And guys, we're not going to make it through this document. I can already tell you now. And we're not going to make it through this document. But we will go for 1 more hour from now. 60 more minutes. And then we'll resume tomorrow. Where we left off, I'm not even closing the window. 60 more minutes from right now. Here we go. The SPLC engages in actions that are illegal, tortious, unethical, and violative of Internal Revenue Service requirements for a 501c3 organization. The SPLC's 501c3 tax-exempt status rests on the predicate that is a public service law firm. Hey, you pieces of trash. Would you defend a Nazi? No? Get out! Get out! Get out. Because here's how disgusting my perspective is. Not only would I defend a Nazi, I would defend a member of the SPLC. Because that's my job. When lawyers stop taking their oath, it's an oath. It's an oath. You stood before 9 underqualified idiots in a robe, given too much power, and you promised to uphold the Constitution. You disgusting maggots. You promised. You liars. You stood up there and you, fresh out of law school, raised your right hand and you said, I promise to uphold the law, the Constitution. I promise to defend a child molester. I promise to defend a murderer. I promise to defend Joe Scarborough. I promise to defend the worst person in existence, Cenk Uygur. Right? I promise to defend the Young Turks. and their denial of the Armenian genocide. I promise to defend stupidity because stupidity is a right. I promise to it. You promised. You sat there and lied. You scumbags. I hate all of you. You promised to do it just like everybody else, and then you went away and you proved yourself to be a liar. Not only will I will defend the most racist, murderous, rapist person on the planet because I have to by law. Not only will I defend that person, but I will defend Mark Potok and Heidi Barrich and any other SPLC pedophile out there. I will defend all of them, even though I hate every fiber of their being. That means that you guys are derelict in your promise and your duty to the Constitution, you disgusting people. The SPLC's 501c3 tax-exempt status rests on the predicate that it is a public service law firm, National Taxonomy of Exempt Entities, Code I-83, with an educational mission under Internal Revenue Code, Service Code 4.76.9.3, which defines the public interest criteria a public service law firm must adhere to receive or maintain 501c3 tax status. Number 2, the organization cannot attempt to achieve its objectives by illegal activity or through a program of disruption of the judicial system. 3, the organization cannot violate any canons of legal ethics. And number 23, given that the SPLC presents itself for tax and other purposes as a law firm, all its employees, lawyers, and non-lawyers alike, including defendants Barrich and Potok, are subject to compliance with the model rules of professional conduct. See model rules of professional conduct. Not the model rules of professional cuckdom, you giant group of cucks. You gaggle of cucks. I don't know if it's a murder of cucks, a gaggle of cucks, a group of cucks, an orgy of cucks. What is the plural form of cucks? What is it? Maybe it's just an SPLC of cucks. I don't know. Bagel Goose masked me and said, got you some hair. Thank you. I did see that. Keck7Go says, but would you defend Maddox? Absolutely. I would defend Maddox. I would do it better than Kevin Randleman. Rick Randleman. Not Kevin Randleman. That guy was monstrous. Kevin Landau. Kevin Randleman was an MMA fighter, and I really, really like him because he really loved to punch people before he died. Rip Kevin Randleman. Rip Kevin Randleman and the Hammer House. Anyway, a cuckle. Dusty Carrier says it's a cuckle of cucks. I love it. Number 24, the SPLC, its employees, and the Intelligence Project, however, not only commit illegal, tortious, and unethical actions, but boast about them. These include 1, receipt of stolen property as described in paragraphs 58 and 67 of the complaint. At this rate, we'll get to that sometime in July. Commercial bribery as described in paragraphs 58 and 67 of this complaint. Multiple instances of mail and wire fraud as described in paragraphs 100 and 118 and 145 to 151 of this complaint. Guys, we're on paragraph 24. We're over 2 hours in. We're only to 24. To get to 121, someone might need to tie me to the chair, and I'm guessing Heidi Barrich would be into that. Making false statements only so she could cook and eat me, like the witch in Hansel and Gretel. You know that fatso has eaten children. You know it. You know it to be true in your hearts, and it is my opinion that fatso may have eaten children. Making false statements on a tax form, specifically on the SPLC's 2016 Form 990. 990s are the annual form filed by nonprofits, just in case you aren't aware, for their tax return, in which the SPLC falsely claimed it had not participated in partisan political campaign activity, when in reality it had opposed Trump and other conservative Republican candidates in over 100 published statements and boasted about its partisan campaigning as described in paragraphs 116 to 117 of this complaint. Next, tortious actions, including tortious interference with contract and with prospective advantage, defamation, and negligent training and supervision as described in paragraphs 159 to 197 of this complaint. We're never getting there. We're never getting there. We're going to get there about the same time that the Democrats fund the wall that they agreed in law to fund like a decade ago. Violations of attorney rules for professional conduct, including Rule 8.4b, quote, it is professional misconduct for an attorney to B, commit a criminal act that reflects adversely on the lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer in other respects. I'm sure they were referring to Heidi Fatso putting children in a vat and melting them down into bacon grease so that they can cook their scrambled eggs in the morning, as described in paragraphs 58 to 67, 101 to 117, and 119 of this complaint. Rule 8.4c, it is professional misconduct for an attorney to, quote, C, engage in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, or misrepresentation. You know everything I'm saying is true. You know it. As described in paragraphs 58 to 67, 94, 101 to 117, and 118 of this complaint. Rule 8.4d, it is professional misconduct for an attorney to D, engage in conduct that is prejudicial to the administration of justice, as described in all of those paragraphs listed above. Rule 4.4a, you should put the lower numbers first, unless you're going based on strength of argument, which is possible. In representing a client, a lawyer shall not use means that have no substantial purpose other than to embarrass, delay, or burden a third person, or use methods of obtaining evidence that violate the legal rights of such a person. Since the SPLC doesn't represent anybody except racists, I think they're probably referring to part 2 of that statement, as described in 58 to 67 of this complaint. Rule 4.4b, a lawyer who receives a document that on its face appears to be subject to the attorney-client privilege or otherwise confidential, and who knows or reasonably should know that the document was inadvertently sent, should promptly notify the sender and 1, abide by the reasonable instructions of the sender regarding the disposition of the document. Most attorneys have a disclaimer at the end of their email saying this document is intended for the named recipient only. And if you receive this document outside of that person, you should delete it immediately and it should not be distributed. 2, submit the issue to an appropriate tribunal for a determination of the disposition of the document. It's almost like we as attorneys have resources to determine whether or not something should be disseminated to the public. Rule 4.1a. In representing a client, a lawyer shall not knowingly 1, make a false statement of material fact or law to a third person, or 2, fail to disclose a material fact when disclosure is necessary to avoid assisting a criminal or fraudulent act by a client. 4.2a. Dice David says, how hard is it for you to practice law in Australia? I need you on my team. Very, very hard, buddy. Very, very hard. It would cost a lot of money for me to get licensed there. I'd probably have to take some sort of test. In representing a client, a lawyer shall not communicate about the subject of the representation with a person who the lawyer knows is represented in the matter by another lawyer unless the lawyer has the consent of the other lawyer or is authorized by law or court order to do so, described in 58 to 67. Don't mind me. Are you trying to tell us lawyers have rules? Very many. Many rules. Many rules. Rule 1.15b, upon receiving funds or other property in which a client or third person has an interest from a source other than the client or the third person, a lawyer shall promptly notify the client or the third person. Rule 5.3, with respect to a non-lawyer employed or retained by or associated with a lawyer, A, partner in a law firm shall make reasonable efforts to ensure that the firm has in effect measures giving reasonable assurance that the person's conduct is compatible with the professional obligations of the lawyer. B, a lawyer having direct supervisory authority over the non-lawyer shall make reasonable efforts to ensure that the person's conduct is compatible with the professional obligations of the lawyer as described in paragraphs 71 to 75 of this complaint. Guys, I have to do something I hate doing. I hate it. But I have had so much vodka and sweet tea that I have to step away for just a moment. Bear with me. We have 48 minutes of stream left. Probably 45 by the time I get back. Bear with me. Bear with me. After urinating, I will have more beverage. I'll be back. Talk amongst yourselves. I apologize. I hate leaving the stream. All right. All right. All right. Here we go. We're going to get back to it. But because I just lowered my blood alcohol content, I think keep up with various other attorneys. Need a little Glenn Levet to help out. Glenn Levet 12. Fantastic. I've been drinking disgusting vodka all night. Now I have a little bit of scotch, and I'm very happy for it. Okay. Eric Blum, don't you dare correct me on blood alcohol content. I think at this point of the night, I'm an expert in anything and everything. Here we go. Here we go. My chat window broke. Here we go. All right. Sorry. Philip Stahl asks, you could have just pissed in a bottle under your desk, but here we are with no legal representation. Sorry, we had a brief recess. We had a brief recess for the bathroom Judges are going to grant bathroom recesses all day long. All day long. Where on earth were we? Rule 5.3. Oh, wait. Yeah. That's where we were. A partner in a law firm shall make reasonable efforts to ensure that the firm has, in effect, measures giving reasonable assurance that the person's conduct is compatible with the professional obligations of the lawyer. So just so you know, if you work in a law firm or if you have an employee in the law firm, your excuse cannot be that the person working for you is too stupid to follow the laws of professional conduct because lawyers and non-lawyers are all held to the same standards within the law firm. Dusty Carrier says, you get drunk like my brother. You start cursing and swearing and suddenly think you're a lawyer. There you go. There you go. Okay, next. A lawyer having direct supervisory authority over the non-lawyer should make reasonable efforts to ensure that the person's conduct is compatible with the professional obligations of the lawyer. Rule 1.2b, a lawyer's representation of a client, including representation by appointment, does not constitute endorsement of the client's political, economic, social, or moral views or activities. Absolutely. Because if you represent a murderer, you don't endorse murder. Obviously. This is obvious. If you defend a child molester, you don't endorse, what is it? What do we even call child molesters these days? Oh, that's right. Hollywood. You don't endorse Hollywood if you defend a child molester. You're not Roman Polanski just because you defend a child rapist. Like, that doesn't make you into Roman Polanski or Kevin Spacey or Bill Cosby or whatever it is. It doesn't turn you into Hollywood just because you defend them. Okay? Rule 6.2, comment. So in the lawyer rules of professional comment, professional responsibility, there are rules and then there are comments giving scenarios and clarifications of the rule in case there's, you know, any ambiguity in the language. They want to give you examples so you more clearly understand what's going on. So here's the comment. All lawyers have a responsibility to assist in providing pro bono publico service. Pro bono publico. Probably not publico. See Rule 6.1. An individual lawyer fulfills this responsibility by accepting a fair share of unpopular matters or indigent or unpopular clients. Zombie Hinata says, I feel Nick would have a hard time claiming he doesn't endorse people being drunk in public if he defends them. In Minnesota, it is not only not illegal, but it is by statute specifically legal to be drunk in public in Minnesota. In fact, let me help you out. Here we go. Just so you guys understand where I'm coming from. Okay, here we go. Let me read that to you in case you can't see it. It says, drunkenness. I can blow it up. I can blow it up. I know this is just a joke, but this is actually kind of a unique law in Minnesota, which I find funny. 340A.902, drunkenness, not a crime. No person may be charged with or convicted of the offense of drunkenness or public drunkenness. Nothing herein prevents the prosecution and conviction of an intoxicated person for offenses other than drunkenness or public drunkenness, nor does this section relieve a person from civil liability for an injury to persons or property caused by the person while intoxicated. So, drunk in public. Ron White, buddy, get up here. You're welcome. We love you peoples here. You can be drunk out of your mind and walk around in public in Minnesota. Period. It's done. You can do it. So, a little bit of legal education for you guys. Let's see. I think I read Philip Stahl's about pissing in a bottle. Let's see. Doge Meat says, give your opinion on 3-6 Mafia versus Wu-Tang Clan. I can't give my opinion on 3-6 Mafia versus Wu-Tang Clan because I have no idea. However, I have learned to side with the Wu-Tang Clan even despite their sad failure to endorse my boy Martin Shkreli and their opposition to Martin Shkreli's ownership of their unique album. I still stand by Wu-Tang, even though I put a black mark on their record for it. All right, next. Morris Dees, acting on behalf of the SPLC, has menaced and harassed with a loaded weapon, specifically a shotgun. It's not even a metaphorical loaded weapon. It's a real loaded weapon. On page 101 of his 1991 autobiography, quote, titled A Season for Justice, Dees brags about holding a shotgun to the head of a man named Claude Henley. Mr. Dees repeats the claim on page 101 of his second autobiography in 2003, A Lawyer's Journey, The Morris Dees Story. Guys, if you haven't had a gun held to your head, you better catch up, fam. Your street cred is lacking. You better catch up. Get that firearm loaded, cocked, ready to fire, pointed right at your face, and you stare that idiot in the eyes and tell them they're dumb. There you go. You have a loaded gun pointed at you, you better raise. If you haven't, you better be adept in nunchucks or something cool, but you better get that gun pointed at your face to raise that street cred. In addition to the 501c3 requirements specific to a public interest law firm, the SPLC, like other 501c3 tax exempt organizations, is subject to the general prohibition against participating or intervening in, including the publishing or distributing of statements, any political campaign on behalf of, or in opposition to any candidate for public office. That's 26 CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations, 1.501c3. Even if a statement does not explicitly advise the public to vote for or against a candidate, the prohibition is violated if there is any message favoring or opposing a candidate for public office. Moreover, 501c3 exemption is lost from participation in political campaigning, even if the participation did not form a substantial part of the organization's activities. U.S. versus Dykema. U.S. versus Dykema. The SPLC has violated this prohibition flagrantly and repeatedly, as described in paragraphs 116 to 117 of this complaint. Zombie Hinata says, is that street cred enough, or does someone else need to be holding the bow? Oh, someone said, oh, Zombie Hinata says, I had an arrow to the foot once. Wait, did they actually arrow you, or did they point the arrow? Like, if you had an arrow into the foot, someone fired an arrow in, yeah, you got the street cred, buddy. You got it. I'll take it. The SPLC's dominant objective is lucrative fundraising. This is the definition of interest groups, right? Be they special or very non-special interests. The definition of an interest group is not ever to solve the problem. If they solve the problem, they have to find work. Who wants to apply for a new job? Nobody does. They never want to solve the problem. They want to bring attention to the problem. Susan B. Komen, that dead prostitute will never, ever cure cancer. Because if that dead hoe cured cancer, the foundation would collapse the next day. Much better money for the commies involved to make marketing campaigns selling pink shoes, selling homosexual shoes to football players. Much better money to sell homosexual shoes to football players than there is to curing cancer. Of course, Susan B. Komen isn't racing for the cure. They're racing for the deaths that increase their bottom line. Just like SPLC, just like everyone else. No special interest group wants to cure the ailment. They just want Tylenol to make you not feel it. All right. James Jones, I got stabbed in the throat by a Nazi. Buddy, you got all the street cred in the world. Way more than someone who just merely, like me, had a gun pointed to their head and threatened to be killed. That's my street cred. My street cred is a bullet to the head, threatened, with a gun loaded, pointed at my face. That's my street cred. Whatever else street cred you got may be bigger than that. Being stabbed in the throat, I will concede to you, buddy. I will concede to you. Next. The SPLC. Oh, yeah. Lucrative fundraising. The SPLC has developed highly remunerative fundraising techniques during the 45 years since its creation in 1971 by Morris Dees. By 1994, its net assets totaled approximately $52 million. By 2005, approximately $168 million. I will not, unfortunately, James Jones, I will not tell the story of the gun to my face. I can't divulge that information about the person who pulled it. However, I don't know if I know I handled it correctly because I'm alive still. I don't know if I handled it correctly in context of there might have been a better way to address that situation. By 2016, its total endowment, it was not Lady Rackets. Let's be clear on that. It was not Lady Rackets. By 2016, its total endowment fund was $319,283,961, and its total assets were $353,178,928. For the fiscal year 2017, its endowment exploded like Mark Potok's masturbatory session onto the soy face of mundane Matt picture that he had, that he was masturbating onto, to $432 million. Mundane, it might have been the real mundane Matt. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does when he's not streaming. No, James Jones, it was not Lady Racket's dad. It was not Lady Racket's dad. Lady Racket's dad gave me full permission to marry her. I did ask. I did, because traditions are important. Each year adds substantially to its net assets. In 2015, for example, according to the Charity Navigator, its net income exceeded its expenses by nearly $9 million, according to the SPLC's 2015 Form 990. In 2015, it paid $14,466,227 in, quote, compensation to unqualified persons. Mr. Bracy 100 says, I got stabbed in the back. Bunch of cowards during a fight with 5 guys. Don't ever be in a fight with 5 guys. Don't ever be in a fight with 5 guys. 5 guys, guys. Whew. By 2017, its net income exceeded operational expenses by a staggering $76,589,303. The SPLC parks large amounts of its huge endowment. It's hugely endowed. Like Donald Trump. Definitely not tiny hands. In offshore accounts, a questionable practice for a domestic 501c3 nonprofit. It sure is, isn't it? Now, far be it from me to question any group's foreign assets, because I personally believe that dollars are speech, and I personally believe that foreign entities have all the right in the world to dump money into American politics. I really do. American politics are a global industry, and I think that foreign entities should be able to. They can't, right? They can't because it's illegal. They certainly should be able to spend in domestic elections because speech is speech, and if you don't like it, just overspeak them. Just overspeak them. But the 501c3 of the SPLC, 501c3s are a tax exemption given under the U.S. tax code, and to park money in a foreign place for a domestic 501c3, I don't really trust it. I don't really trust it at all. A recent article in Politico entitled, quote, "Has civil rights stalwart has a civil rights stalwart lost its way?" Notes that the SPLC now has 250 staffers in 4 states, and that its enormous headquarters building in Montgomery, Alabama, quote, "is testament to the fact that in America, even fighting racism can be very good business." Yes, it can be. Gay and still at large says, "My baby brother wants to go to law school. What should I tell him?" You should tell him to do what he wants to do and feels passionate about. If you don't feel passionate about being a lawyer, if you wouldn't be poor and be a lawyer, don't be a lawyer. I think that's the best way I can say it. If you demand to be rich or middle class to be a lawyer, don't be a lawyer. If you are willing to be poor and still be a lawyer, if arguing, if some issue, if any of those things are passionate enough in your brother that he would willingly be poor and in debt for the rest of his life, the student loans, he would willingly do that, be a lawyer. That's what it takes. I'm not saying you're gonna be poor, but if you're willing to be poor, because you might not make money doing this. You might not. And Doge Meat says, "Will Warski or Tonka win?" I think Warski's gonna win. I don't know, but I think so. I can't wait to see it live. The main goal right now is 25 more minutes of streaming, because I promise you guys to get to 2 a.m. Central Time. I will do it. I'm going to try and do it without vomiting. But the liquor is hitting hard. Liquor is hitting hard. Next. The article, so they cite to Politico. The article included the following photograph of one floor of the inside of the SPLC's office. Look at all the white people they employ. It's all white people. This is, of course, endemic in the social justice community. It is white bread, white frosting, butter covered soybean tofu trash heaps that are running all of these organizations. There are no black people calling out hatred at SPLC. It is all the whitest people you can imagine. The whitest kids you know, right? Landoname says, "That guy's little bro can ask, 'How are you so employed?'" He can come ask me. I'll happily tell him everything I know about lawyering. 30. The incredible fundraising Rekieta has captured the SPLC's soul and skewed its mission. A legion of critics over many years and across political spectrum have noted this corruption. For example, quote, this from National Review. The SPLC's core mission is to separate progressives from their dollars. The SPLC has become a kind of Weimar Republic of hate inflation. Its list of hate groups looks increasingly like a way of attacking ordinary conservatives. Of course, it is not profitable for the SPLC to adequately assess hate. It is much more profitable for the SPLC to find hate where there isn't than to call out hate where there is. That's the problem. It makes them money. Rocket Ship says, did you get saddled with exorbitant student loans? No, I did not. No. Look at that tiny cuck laptop. Look at that thing. Yeah, he's typing it up on an iPad with a sad, outdated MacBook next to him. Just kill him already. Not like violently. Just put him out of his disgusting misery. Just put him out. Put him out. You have a MacBook right there. Why are you typing on a 10-inch screen? Oh, wait a minute. The extra length must be intimidating and frightening for him, right? The extra size and girth of that screen must be worrisome. He must worry. He must not have enough lube to type on that screen, right? That's what's going on there. We figured it out. He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have adequate preparation to take the girth of the 13-inch MacBook. He's got to drop down to the 10.5-inch iPad. Okay. List of hate groups looks increasingly like a way of attacking ordinary conservatives. An easy way to ratchet up hatred and the passion that makes people open their checkbooks is to accuse others of hate. August 23rd, article by Kyle Smith entitled Essentially a Fraud in the National Review magazine. Washington Post is next. The SPLC has become a caricature of itself, labeling virtually anyone who does not fall in line with its left-wing ideology an extremist or hate group. Slimming conservatives is big business. Sliming conservatives is big business. June 22nd, 2018. Article by Mark Thiessen entitled, quote, The Southern Poverty Law Center has lost all credibility. Well, that's not ambiguous. Khan Wrath of says, Zidane says hi. Hi, Zidane. Hi, buddy. Welcome to the show. Next quote. The SPLC is a cash collecting machine. In 2015, it vacuumed or sucked harder than Stormy Daniels, up $50 million in contributions and foundation grants, a tidy addition to its $334 million holdings of cash and securities, and its headquarters worth $34 million. Quote, they've never spent more than 31% of the money they were bringing in on programs, and sometimes they spent as little as 18%. Most nonprofits spend about 75% on programs. Noted Jim Tharp, managing editor of the SPLC's hometown newspaper, quote, the Montgomery Advisor, in a talk at Harvard's Nieman Foundation for Journalism, other reporters who have wised up to the SPLC hustle have noted in exposés how ironic it is that a group proclaiming itself a civil rights organization has rarely used black attorneys. Only white Jew attorneys, right? Right, SPLC? A bunch of white echoes. A bunch of white attorneys. That's all you care about, you racist sacks of garbage. You don't employ the black attorneys who don't agree with you. Only white cuckbags who have been sold a narrative based on guilt or included any significant number of African Americans on its staff or board. The only board they want black people on is the female genital mutilation bread board. Make no mistake, the Southern Poverty Law Center wants to keep black people poor and put black people in chains. Carl Zinmeister, some of that was me, not all his words. Philanthropy Today, spring 2017. Next quote. The SPLC's main role is as a massively funded propaganda machine. SPLC founder Morris Dees was inducted into the Direct Marketing Hall of Fame in 1998. That should tell you a lot. That's not my words. That's actually in the lawsuit, which is a little weird. Dees' experience as an ultra-successful direct mail marketer well precedes his SPLC days. Perhaps he employed those skills while working on George Wallace's George Wallace's 1958 gubernatorial campaign. Let's take a look at George Wallace. I have a feeling I know where they're going with this. George Wallace. We got him. We got him. Governor of Alabama. Let's look at his section on segregation, shall we? In the 1962 Democratic primary, Wallace finished first, ahead of Senator Ryan DeGaffenreid Sr., taking 35% of the vote. In the runoff, Wallace won the nomination with 55% of the vote. As no Republican filed to run, he's a Southern Democrat in the segregation period. I wonder what Wallace's policy, and therefore, what's this cuck's name? What's his Morris Dees' policy on blacks was back then. Isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that every time you find an old race apologist, right? Every time they're apologizing and atoning for their racial sins and imputing those viewpoints on you, right? It's not your views. It's always their views in 1955 where they're like, you know what? Black people should be beaten with hoses, right? It's always them atoning for their sins that matters more than whatever your perceived sin is. Always, always, always. If you find someone over 60, what you'll find is that they were literally beating people in Birmingham every single time. They bred the dog to hate black people, right? Every single time. It's amazing how these people are the first ones now to call out racism, right? It's always them. Well, I know racism because I was one, right? Dees, Wallace. This all but assured Wallace of becoming the next governor. He won a crushing victory in the November general election, taking 96% of the vote. 96% of the vote in 1962 Alabama. What do you think his perspective on race was? As noted above, Democratic dominance had been achieved by disenfranchising most blacks and many poor whites in the state for decades. Democratic dominance still relies on disenfranchising blacks and poor whites. They've just added minorities to the disenfranchisement. Democrats love broke black people and really want to keep them there. Remember, Hillary Clinton carries hot wings in her purse just so black people will vote for her. Absolutely. Southern Democrats haven't changed. Not a bit. Not a bit. They want black people poor. They want black people without dads because they know that the black people with dads will be productive and will not be criminals. They love single moms. Man, do black people, do Democrats want to give black women money to have kids and throw the guy away? Man, do they love it. They hope black man ends up in jail. Democrats love single black mothers because single black mothers elect Democrats for welfare for their fatherless black prison-bound children, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's absolutely the most racist part of America are the Democrats propagating absent father black families. It is the worst thing I can think of. Metacurious Murdochian Archiver says echoes SPLC, 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 SPLC. Dice David, when does my opinion become slander? Opinions cannot be slander unless they assert facts that are untrue. I don't think I've asserted a single fact that was untrue. Let's see. Where do we go? I'm not going to read Wallace's Wikipedia anymore. It's too depressing. Too depressing to me that people still will support these bastions. It's crazy to me. All right. Next. While working on George Wallace's 1958 gubernatorial campaign, but critics say he got especially wealthy while at the SPLC, building what they've called his poverty palaces. You've heard this. You've heard this. So from Stream Me, I am watching this. Drumboy02 says, lol, hot wings in her purse. Oster says, I think he means hot sauce. No, that's what she said. But you know Hillary Clinton is slanging those hot wings in the purse. You know she is. You know, Bill's like, hey baby, I'm happy to buy you some wings. I know you always order the 50 pack of black wings. That's fine, but can you line that purse with some plastic wrap and throw them in there, sugar? You think we can do that? You got to line that purse with plastic wrap. You got to take those home. I can't. How many speeches you want me to give? Putting on a little poundage. Pretty soon you'll be fat enough for me to be attracted to. Anyway. Andrew Gluck says Northern Prosperity Law Center win. That's a good idea. Metacurious Murdochian Archiver says DR3 is a meme. But it's a true one, especially now. I don't even know what DR3 means. Democratic Republican? I don't know what DR3 is. Guys, we've got to stop Hillary from eating those hot wings before Bill has sex with her again. If Bill has sex with Hillary, he might infuse enough presidential juice for her to win. Jared Holt. That's not the Jared Holt, right? This stuff looks very problematic. Better watch yourself, sweetie. That can't. If that's the actual Jared Holt, I'm laughing. Jared, you would be hard pressed to find someone as anti-racist as me. The problem with people like you is that I will talk to a racist and I won't judge them for their views. I know that makes you mad. Sorry, buddy. Next, where are we? We have 8 minutes left. We have 8 minutes left. Okay. Metacurious Murdochian Archiver. Thank you. Democrats are the real racist equals DR3. I don't know how anyone could honestly argue that. I'm not saying there aren't racist Republicans. I'm not saying there aren't racist libertarians. But absolutely, from a party platform perspective, the Democrats have, for the past 40 years, maybe 50, been, no, 100, 200, been the most racist party I can think of. From slavery all through the current state, which is government or welfare slavery, however you want to call it. Abort your babies, take your check, don't work. Don't grow, don't learn, don't prosper, don't marry. Because if they do any one of those things, if you have the baby with the father and you marry him, oh my God, you're the most dangerous thing to a Democrat politician ever. Because if you raise your children in a 2-parent home that's married and works, you will raise a future Republican black person, and it terrifies the racists on the left. It terrifies them to no end to think that there might be a black person who will go, wait a minute, why am I paying these taxes? Right? That is the scariest thing for a Democrat, is a black person asking a question about their withholding. Good God, they don't know what to answer. Why is the government taking this away? I got a little bit of whiskey to finish before the end of the stream. This is a hot one, y'all. This is a hot one. We'll see how this goes. I'm sure YouTube wants to monetize this. Guys, as a side note before I move on, if you like this, if you want a drunk lawyer yelling about leftism in America, not even liberalism, not even the Sargon liberalists, but leftism. Leftism is a real problem. If you want this and you want more people to see it, I, like Uncle Sam, need you. We're pushing for 15,000 subscribers. We're less than 200 away. Share it, like it. I will talk to anybody of any political, whatchamacallit? I can't even think of the word. Orientation. Political orientation. I don't care if they're racist. I don't care if they hate white people. I don't care. I will talk to literally anybody. I've put that out from day one. And that is the worst person for the left, is the person who will talk to anyone, including their enemies. Like, share, subscribe these things if you want more. And I will gladly give you more. I'm thinking about people have asked me when I'm doing a 24-hour stream. I think at 24,000 subscribers is the logical place to do a 24-hour stream. And I will have it packed with guests, We will be dropping truth, unpopular truth all over the place, all the way from traditional marriage. Not saying other relationships aren't valid, but traditional marriage will be talked about all the way up to the modern slave trade that is the Democratic Party. Keck7Go says, I think it would terrify racists from both sides. Imagine Southern racists forced to sit next to a black person in city council. Yeah, imagine it. Will I cosplay as your friend at 24K? If I'm having a 24-hour live stream, Drexel is with me here, and it will be glorious. Don't get me wrong, Drexel will be on at 15,000 subscribers as well, but 24,000, he will be here for a substantial portion. Because if there's anyone in the world I can talk to for 24 hours, it's Drexel. All right. What will you do for 40K? I will beg Arch Warhammer to co-stream with me for however many hours it takes. Anyway, and we will talk Imperial Law. I'd love to do a show with Arch before that, but we will do that. Okay. So, and that's, by the way, to those of you guys on Stream Me who see this, please, even if you hate YouTube and you don't watch on YouTube, I don't care. I love that you guys watch on Stream Me. I would love to have hundreds of viewers on both platforms at the same time. Please use your YouTube channel and subscribe. Get me boosted up on YouTube, even if you're watching on Stream Me. Thank you. Thank you. Rick Nikita, Battletoads. Yes. Yes, we will. I will tell you what. You guys get me to 15,000 subscribers. I will get a streaming card and Drexel, and we will play 2-player Battletoads while talking modern feminism. We will talk modern feminism while beating Battletoads 2 players. Where else are you going to see that? Nowhere on earth. 15,000 subscribers, I'll get a stream card and we'll do it. We will do it. There you go. All right, couple minutes left. Well, technically one. Let's read this last paragraph, and then I'm going to go fall asleep in a bowl of ramen. Bowl of ramen and ice cream. All right. Alas, quote, this is quote, New York Post, quote, alas, these days, the SPLC is mainly a fundraising machine, said Gail Heriot. Let's take a look at Gail. I don't know if I keep doing this, but I always want to know how people look. Images of Gail Heriot. Where are you? Where are you at, Gail? Oh, she did not eat a whale. She did not eat a whale at all, but well, I'm not going to bring her picture up on the stream. It's too late in the day for that. It's too late in the day for that. Okay. Said Gail Heriot, a U.S. Commission on Civil Rights member who voted against Friday's revolution. Quote, the more it can persuade its donors that hate groups have penetrated, am I right? Every nook and cranny of American society, the more money it can raise. The SPLC has no credibility with anyone on the left or the right who is familiar with its methods. That's from a 2016 article in the New York Post. New York Post. Let's, there are 3 paragraphs or 2 paragraphs left. There are 2 paragraphs left. Let's read those and be done. And tomorrow, we're picking back up as drunk and angry as we can be. On Streamy, Soul2XL says, a border prince is the most powerful red-pilled 40K YouTuber. Arch is good for lore, but skeptic poisoned Also, ABP, a border prince, is super humble and knows about the Tau problem. Well, I've never heard of a border prince. I'm going to look up his videos tonight because I always fall asleep to 40K videos. Guys, I'm a huge nerd. Huge nerd. I will fall asleep to a border prince's videos tonight. If you guys have a line, if you're a fan, if you're in his Discord or whatever, invite him on my show. I love 40K. It's so nerdy and great. I would love to talk to him. I'd love to talk to Arch as well. I like all of these guys. I love Lutein09. I've been watching Lutein's videos on Gray Nights. If you love 40K and you're not watching Lutein09's lore videos, you're wrong. Also Arch's lore videos. Absolutely. Okay, next. He watches your content? A border prince? Buddy, I would love to talk 40K with anybody, especially you. DM me, whatever it takes. Get a hold of me, a border prince. I would have you on the show. We can do a 40K stream. We could we could do whatever. We can talk about whatever. Sorry, I'm reading, what is it? Lords of Silence? Is that the video? Can't even remember. I think it's Lords of Silence, the Night Lords book. I'm reading it right now. We can talk about whatever, buddy. Absolutely. If you you know a border prince, talk to me about get him in contact with me however you can. I don't know his stuff. I already like him. Sorry. Let's read these last two paragraphs, y'all. I skipped one. Quote, this is from WorldNet Daily. WorldNet Daily. Morris Dees is a con man and fraud, as I and others such as U.S. Circuit Judge Cecil Poole have observed, and as has been documented by John Egerton, Harper's The Montgomery Advertiser, in its Charity of Riches series, and others, the positive contributions Dees has made to justice, most undertaken based upon calculations as to their publicity and fundraising potential, are far overshadowed by what Harper's described as his flagrantly misleading solicitations for money. He has raised millions upon millions of dollars with various schemes, never mentioning that he does not need the money because he has, quote, 175 million and two, quote, poverty palace buildings in Montgomery. He has taken advantage of naive, well-meaning people, some of moderate or low incomes, who believe his pitches and give to his $175 million operation. He has spent most of what they have sent him to raise still more millions, pay high salaries, and promote himself. Because he spends so much on fundraising, his operation spends $30 million a year to accomplish less than what many other organizations accomplish on shoestring budgets. Joseph Farah. This is all, quote, Joseph Farah, not me. May 30th, 2012 article in worldnetdaily.com, quoting a 2007 letter from Stephen Bright, professor at Yale Law School and director of the Southern Center for Human Rights, to the dean of the University of Alabama Law School. If you know they're a cuck from Yale, writing to a cuck from University of Alabama, it's a circle cuckery. So there you go. There you go. There you go. Next, final paragraph of this document tonight. Guys, we made it all the way through page 18. We're going to go on to page 19 of 85. Tomorrow we will recommence. We will recommence. I'm going to have to do a recap video. Next, the Southern Poverty Law Center, this is a quote, is a thriving business. Its business is fundraising, and its success at raking in the cash is based on its ability to sell gullible dummies on the idea that present-day America is awash in white racism and anti-Semitism, which it will fight tooth and nail as the public interest law firm it purports to be. Brackets, but isn't, but is not. that might lead a skeptic like Sargon or Kraut to wonder why it spends little on litigation and why Mr. D's pockets a lot of money sent in by panic donors who buy into the smear campaigns against organizations or prominent individuals who question racial preference programs. Again, most of these people do not believe that whites are better than others. They believe that others aren't better than whites. When did others not being better than whites equate to white being better than others? No, the most dangerous idea in America in 2019 is that all men and women are created equal. How terrifying is that? That the preamble to our Constitution, codified in the Declaration of Independence, is the most offensive thing you can say, that all men are created equal. And that whites don't have guilt to atone for. How weird is that? How weird is that? That equal means equal. Landonime says 30,000 subs. You got to review a hentai with your wife. We can probably do that. Okay. Mr. D's pockets a lot of money sent in by panic donors who buy into the smear campaigns against organizations or prominent individuals who question racial preference programs. To me and to other observant conservatives, the Southern Poverty Law Center is a clever scam, relentlessly cultivating for profit the fear that this nation is filled with Klansmen and rife with people eager to perpetrate genocide. That was a 2008 article in the Baltimore Sun by R. Smith. Doge Meat says, favorite faction in 40K. You know what? Everyone's going to hate me for this, but I love the Ultramarines. I really do. And here's why. Before you vanilla cucks me or whatever it is, here's why I love the Ultramarines. I love the Ultramarines that in their vanilla adhesion to the Codex Astartes, they are the shining example. Not because they're better, but because they stick with their principles laid down by their gene sire, Robute Gilliman. That's why I love the Ultramarines. I really do. Really stinking like them. Also, all the Greek and Roman symbology is funny to me. I like it. It makes me laugh. But yeah. All right, guys. Smurf. Yeah, I do. But my favorite Ultramarine is Uriel Ventress. Uriel Ventress is hilarious. And he does stray from the Codex Astartes. Because I feel like if you don't adhere to the Codex, straying from the Codex doesn't matter. But if you adhere to it, and if it's indoctrinated into you, then straying from it is important. All right, guys. All right. I am so freaking plastered. Oh, by the way, though, one final thing. What's his face? The chapter master. What's the chapter master's name? Oh my god, I can't even remember. Chapter master of the Ultramarines. Oh, Marneus Calgar. Marneus Calgar can eat a bolter round right in his stupid whore mouth. I'm not a fan of Marneus Calgar, and I think making him into a Primaris Marine is garbage. Okay, let's just point that out. Let's get that out of the way. I'm not a fan of Marneus. I'm not a fan of saying, oh, he could be a Primaris Marine. No. I like Uriel Ventress. I like Uriel Ventress's super monstrous friend. I can't remember his name right now. I like the fact that Grey Knight whooped up on Uriel Ventress in his books. But yeah, that's that. All right, guys. Dice David said, Stereos quit Twitter? What is his deal? Anyway, love you guys. I will see you tomorrow. We will resume on page, it says 18. I think it is 18. We made it all the way to 18 pages in 3 hours. We will resume there tomorrow with as much hatred and racism towards the Southern Poverty Law Center as tonight. We'll do that tomorrow. Peace out. I got to blank out the stream. I got to go get some food. Talk to you guys later. Peace.